Okay, so jumping right in, what we're going to do, just like we did last time, we added grid items, and that was, this stuff here. We are going to add scene, right? So you could call this level, you could call it what you want. In this case, I'm just going to call it scene for now. I have not planned out the exact XML that would come out of the editor, but it's safe to say that scene items will go in scene. So the data will still be good when used this way. All right, and then inside scene, we are going to have scene item. Boy, I can't type. Happens a lot when I'm trying to do this. Okay, so scene item. And so scene item is the name of the class, of the base class for scene items. So this is also safe to say. It is also very safe to say that they will have a position. Okay. And lastly, they'll have a scale. So remember, these things don't interact with the board, right? Oh, you know what they need is a type. Let's make sure we have type in here. For those of you who don't remember, I use lowercase to note that the variable is an end variable. I use capitals to note that there's something inside. Okay, so that's why everything's formatted the way it is. Now, we are going to add an oak tree. I am using art from my first game, so it's not nearly as ugly as me making it, but keep in mind this is very old, so this is some of the art from my old game. I'll probably eventually put all of this in, but this is oak tree. And so that will be added to the game, and then eventually I'll probably, like I said, just give all of this stuff, because in a way it's old and should be open sourced and all that. You can see this is some of the later art. It got a little nicer, a little more detailed, but anyway, neither here nor there. That game's called Delinar TD. I am working on porting it to Steam and stuff, just because I don't want it to die. Okay, enough about that. Sorry, I get off on tangents. I'm excited about that one. Okay, so the position, I believe the grid starts at zeros, and we are going to have oak tree be 100, 100. So position-wise, if we want to keep it off the grid, it has to be at least negative 50. But let's make it slightly more than that. So let's go negative 60. Oops. And then height, I mean, let's say the first one's 200. I'm sure that'll be in a good space. If it's not, we'll move it. And then scale is just going to be 1. We're not going to actually do scale. We're going to do the programming should be there, but I actually haven't gone through it. But these are things that you kind of need in order to do a scene. You'll need more things. Well, you can use more things if you feel like it. So we're going to just add 3 oak trees. Remember, you add your own art, create your own class. I'm showing you how to do 1, but if you want pine tree and rock and mountain, then create them, pine tree, rock, and mountain, and then put them in here, and they will load when you're done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put 1 below it, and we're going to overlap them slightly. So remember, we have to shift it 50 for it to not be touching, because it's 100. So anyway, so we're going to shift it 50. So we're going to go 50 below it. Oops. No. We want it to overlap. Let's go to 40, so that's down further, okay? And then this last one, we're going to draw, because these are actually going to draw in order for right now, because we don't have something that detects their order. We'll get into that. I promise I will do that. Because I'm making a promise, I'm going to make it a little bit more wide and say that within the next 10 tutorials, I plan to do it, and I promise eventually we will do it. It's possible I could do it next, but I just have to. It's a little bit bigger project, so it may not happen. So what we're going to do here is we're drawing this one first, second. So let me kind of, you know what? Let me just get a new and explain this real fast. So 1,000. And then this one, say, I don't know, let's just do 1,000. Okay, we've got that. And let me get the image. and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do, that's not what I wanted. I want this. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it. Oh. Okay, so we have these, right? So, oops. What we're doing here is we are... No, we don't want to save changes to that. We are drawing like this. There we go. So, first one, second one, third one. This is what we're expecting to see. Why? Because I'm trying to show you the limitations of not having a draw ordering class. Okay? So, this is on purpose. This will do this. If you drew this one down here, it would be fine because it's third draw. But we're going to draw it third but above, and it's going to show up something like this. You need to have an ordering class. I held off on this for way too long. The amount of spaghetti code that I had to do to make a system work or look like it works when it doesn't actually work without a draw sorting class is really bad. So don't do it. Invest the time, get it right. And you're probably going to have to make it specific to your game. Like, you can make a generic one, which is what we're going to do. But you're going to have to fine-tune your own per game. So it's important to do this. But this is what we're expecting to see, and then the grid would be over here. Alright, let's move back to it. Let's see. We have our oak trees, scene items. We have 3 scene items. They're all type oak tree. They're all scale 1. Cool. Let's look. So in here we added to the XML. We need to get that data in world. You know what? Let's do this first. Let's add the scene item. Create that. I consider this to be an engine level class. That's my take on it. I use scene items all the time. They are essentially a base class for me. Almost everything in the game that's not UI is derived from a scene item. I even have buttons that I've rewritten in as children of the scene item because it's important. So scene item is crucial. This is a big deal. It's not going to feel like a big deal right now until you have your scene organizing stuff, and then everything you draw you want in that scene organizer, and therefore scene item is crucial. So let's keep that in mind. Scene item, and then we are going to add said scene item. Make sure that I'm structuring it the same. I always want them structured the same. Okay, so scene item, add new item. Actually, you know what? We don't need that. It's going to inherit from animated 2D, so let's just copy that and paste it in here and change its name to scene item. All right. So this is a class that was developed for Empire Architect. It is going to be blank right now. It is not going to seem important. I understand it doesn't seem important right now. It will be tremendously important later. So we want animated 2D here. We want scale. I don't think we need frames. Frames we have to pass into here. Oh, we do need frames to come in because in oak tree we'll set the frames. Right, that's right. Color is not going to be important. So here we're going to have frames and color.white. You could have grayscale scene items and then pass in a color on them. That's fine. You do what you want to do. But for me, I like to have the art do the work a lot of the time, or I'll use a shader to deal with it. So I don't use this as nearly as much as I used to, but I wanted you guys to have it. That's why I put it into the system. Okay, so we have all this, and here we are gonna get scale as well. Okay, and then scale, you could either save its own variable or just do this. For now, that's what we're gonna do. So if you pass in a scale, it will just multiply by the dims, and it should just work. You know what? After we test it, we'll test scale. I haven't tested scale, so if it breaks, then we'll have to figure out how to fix it. But we'll go through it. All right, so that's the entire class for now. It's literally just a pass-through class at this moment. When we add the scene organizer or sorter or whatever you want to call it, however it is that you make sure you're drawing things in the proper order, this class will become just super important. But for now, let's leave it be. We have scene item. Wonderful. Now over here in world, we are going to add a list of scene items. Oops. Scene items equals new. Okay, super simple, no big deal. It's there. We're going to come down here. Scene items, draw under effects. Probably under projectiles. Yeah, I like this spot. Int equals 0, I less than scene items. Count. And then here we'll say scene items dot I dot draw. And then pass in our offset. Okay. That's as much of the pipeline as we need for now. Okay, we're just drawing. You know, we can just update them. Why not? Let's just put it in. It doesn't hurt anything to do it. Yeah, we don't want them to update when it's paused, so that's fine. And this will just update. Cool. No big deal. It's not being used on this one, but we have it. It's in. So now if you put in an animated one, it'll update. Cool. Let's see. We have load data. This is where we want to be. We need a query, and I think our queries are in player or something. Yeah. So go to definition, and then down in here we have one. There we go. So we'll take this whole thing here, because this is essentially the same. We'll modify it here. It could be the last thing. Let's make it the last thing. Why not? Okay, so first off, this is scene item list. So now we go and we find everywhere it says building list. If we highlight it, it should show, except for its dead variable. So just find all these underlined spots and do that. Ooh, we missed S-type. Oops. Okay. Still doing this. And then this is scene items. Scene items. This is scene item. Obviously, if you can't tell, I like editing more so than rewriting things. That's personal preference. If you don't like doing it my way, that's totally fine. I understand it. I've seen lots of people that would rather type it out each time. If you can't tell, my typing skills are bad compared to maybe other people in the profession. So maybe that's why I prefer what I prefer. And And then so this here is scale. We have a position, right? We have position. Our scene item. Oh, you know what we haven't done is created oak tree. So oak tree is not an engine level item. Whoops. Sorry, a little out of order. I apologize. So over here in world, I have a folder called scene. Inside scene, I have plants. Okay, this could be trees. This could be less generic, more generic. This could be lots of things. I like to start my base folders being very generic, and then I can segment them off. So it could be plants, and then bushes, and trees, and grass. There could be lots of things within there, because there's lots of different types of bushes, and trees, and grass, and flowers, and so on and so forth, right? Some people do nature here. Whatever, you know, you do what you want. In this case, I'm going to do plants, and because it's the first item in there, I'm not even going to worry about sorting it. People could say, well, that's dumb. Why wouldn't you sort it now? Well, because I actually don't know all of what's going in the game. I don't have a giant design doc for this game, believe it or not. That's kind of why this is a little bit more fun to me, is that I haven't tried to plan out every little thing. I am planning, you know, a few tutorials ahead, or I have tutorials I want to do, so I know of things that will be in the game, but I can't tell you what all the scenery is going to be. I don't know. And so I am not going to try to sort it more than that. Do I know that there will be plants and non-plants? I do. So that's the level of specificity I have for now. So it might turn out that there's only like 10 different plants. Well, in that case, you don't need to segment off the folders. But if there turns out to be 100 different plants, well, now it's time to get more specific so that you don't have, you know, your entire Solution Explorer taken up every time you open the plants folder. All right, oak tree, which is a scene item. Might be giving too much information. You know what? That's not a scene item. Let's try that again. I hadn't built it to save it, so we ended up with animated 2D. Oak tree. Okay. All right, oak tree is a scene item. We'll paste oak tree there. Copy and paste that. And then we'll get this. Put it there. Scene item actually doesn't need all this, so let's fix that before we screw up here and have variables overriding each other. Let's get rid of all that. Okay. So oak tree only needs a position and a scale coming in for right now. That'll maybe, it will change later. All the more reason for me to only do oak tree, because if I did 10 of these, that is going to change. So, alright, so our path, I don't have the item in here, of course not. So in your content 2D, add inside UI scene. Okay, let me where is it? YouTube. Okay, there's my file. This should have a capital O, so I'm going to make it so. Oops. Now that's what happens when you click on an XMB. Errant double click. Alright, we have that. So it is 2D UI scene oak tree. 2D UI scene oak tree. Okay. The dimensions is new vector 2. I told you we're gonna make these 100 100. So there it is. And then frames, new frame, a new vector 2 1 1 because it's just one frame. Let's see. Doesn't like something. Well, let's hover over and see what it says. So best overload match. Some invalid arguments. Oh, it doesn't have this. There we go. No color. That should. Oh, and then I didn't finish over here yet. So this is going to get oak tree. That's why we went and did that. So the data for which we are searching is just a root. Alright, so we're searching the root. And then we are searching for scene items. We are not just searching the root. We are searching the root dot element scene. You don't actually need that. It would just work with root. This confines it to that element. So if you have something called scene item somewhere else, it won't find it. This is just better. So just work with me. It does require you to have a scene tag. If you don't have a scene tag, this will break. So just keep that in mind. Okay, da-dum. All of this, I think, works here now. This should give us oak trees. I think. Unless I missed something, we should be good. Build doesn't like something. We're still not cool with the constructor here. Does not contain a constructor that takes 2 arguments. Or 4 arguments. We need a path, a position, dimensions, frames, and scale. I'm not giving it a scale. Cool. Alright, let's build it. Let's see what happens. See if I destroyed the world or not. I did. Alright. We don't need that. Oh, if you only put in one variable into a vector, oops, which I do here, then both the x and y get filled with the same thing. Same thing happens in a vector 3 and a vector 4. If you only feed it one variable, it will assign that variable to all things, to all data locations. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, here we go. We're going to hit play. We're going to walk over here off the grid. We're going to show the grid. There's our grid. And there is our misaligned trees. And I'm going to leave them that way because I want them to be misaligned so that we can see them get fixed at a later date. Cool. We are going to make the one change. I told you guys we would come in here and check our scale. So on our third one, we're going to give it a 0.7 scale. And it's trying to convert it to int. So we need to convert to I think you have to convert it to double, and then from there you say float. I have functions for all this, so I don't do it a lot, so bear with me here. Let's see. Oh, it ran, so we're good there. So now we're going to walk over, and our last one should be small. Oh, yeah, there. Didn't think that 0.7 would shrink it that much, did you? But it does. So, careful with your scales. Alright, let's try 8.8 just for fun. See the difference. And there it is, bigger. So remember that scaling reduces in a square. So let's say you have this guy here, right? Well, this is a 50% scale, which means that you only get 25% of the image size for a 50% scale. So it reduces in squares. So keep that in mind. I'm pointing this out because it just was nice that way. Alright guys, that is the tutorial for today. This is just to get your scenes going. We will create a lot with this. It doesn't seem like the most important tutorial, but it is the basis for a lot of what we're going to do. In fact, grid items are going to end up scene items eventually, so on and so forth. We haven't done that, but we will. I've tried to explain the way I want to do things and the way you should do things. That way you can approach them from a better manner. While you're going up, hopefully you're going out ahead of me, right? I do hope you guys are taking the time to try things and expand and make your own game out of this. I even hope that some of you aren't making the same kind of game. You're taking the concepts I'm giving you and thinking about how to extrapolate them out to your own games. It's fine if you just want to follow along. I don't care. I'm just throwing that out there. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. The more likes that get hit, the more people the video gets shared with, and that's a big deal for me because it makes me happy when more people get to see the video. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. I am putting out videos regularly, and I will continue to do so. I am thoroughly enjoying this project, and it'll be a long-term thing. So hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you haven't. Guys, that notification bell shows you the video early, and then the earlier you guys get in to watch it, the more YouTube boosts it up in the metric. And again, it makes it much easier for me to come and do these things, even though I enjoy it, when more people are seeing it, because it's when you're affecting people, it makes you happy. In a positive way, it makes you happy. If you are learning a lot and you feel like supporting the channel, please go visit the Patreon and consider it. It's a big deal for me. We're getting close to enough money to sick the artist on some stuff, and I will do that when the money's there. Yeah, hey, I hope you guys had a great week, and I will be back next week. Have a good one, guys.